Welcome to Stone Soup Poetry. Thank you all for coming out, at least virtually on this cold winter night. That can't be easy, even in these days, these days where everything is Zoom. We had Zoom fatigue even like back in May of last year. So I appreciate everyone keeping Stone Soup going, and I appreciate the people who have approached me to be features. We'll be announcing the next feature for the end of the month, probably tomorrow. And you can follow for more information on stonesoupoetry.blogspot.com or any of my websites or Twitter page at Chad Poet for Hire. Or you can look on the Stone Soup Facebook page, which is probably the most comprehensive for information, not just from me, but from everyone else.
You're muted.
I'm muted, chat.
And I am so pleased that our feature tonight is Megha Sood, who is someone I was introduced to via Joshua Corwin back in the day for the online anthology of what was probably the first of what must be now 2,000 anthologies on life and poetry during the pandemic. And looks like someone's. Oh, Patricia Karen's editing is announcing a reading. Okay, we'll do that later. We're going to get right to the feature, and then we'll have the open mic. If I didn't explain that already, pre-recording, and when I met Megha, it was just strictly online, and then I got to see her and know her work even more. Most joyously, we are both in the anthology Reimagine America, which is an anthology put out by Vagabond Books via Mark Lipman, who's in the audience, and he's showing a copy right now. I haven't got my copy yet. I'm a little more east than the other people in mail-wise, so hopefully I'll get mine tomorrow or Friday. And there we go with her cover. Congratulations to both of you who the post office clearly likes more. In all seriousness, she has been in a ton of stuff, and I've just been I wanted to get her in Stone Soup much sooner, and I'm glad I'm able to kick off 2022 and introduce her to a much wider audience. I've seen her in so many places. It's hard to imagine the poetry scene without her now. And she does her best to elevate the people she works with, that she's colleagues with, and she's published with. So we appreciate that. We need more people like that. I'm going to read the boilerplate, and then we're going to get right to the poetry performance. According to the poetry boilerplate, for all you people who are just meeting her now, Megha Sood is an award-winning Asian American poet, editor, author, literary activist from New Jersey, USA, and the recipient of the 2021 Poet Fellowship from Martha's Vineyard Institute of Creative Writing, as well as a 2020 national level winner for Poetry Matters Project. She's also a recipient of Certificate of Excellence. I think this is pretty recent too. Certificate of Excellence from Mayor, New Jersey, from the Mayor of Jersey City, New Jersey. She's also the associate poetry editor for literary journals Mookie Chick, Life and Legends, and literary partner with Life in Quarantine, the anthology I mentioned before. She's also a member of the American Pen Women, the Women's National Book Association, and the United Nations Association U.S. chapter. Her works have been featured widely in journals such as Poetry Society of New York, the PBS American Portrait, the NPR, Rising Phoenix Review, Kissing Dynamite, and many more. How does she find time to be here? I'm amazed at it. But to best support her, if you hopefully she'll give us her Venmo or her PayPal account so you can throw a few bucks her way. But you could also support her by buying her newest books. She is the author of the chapbook My Body Is Not an Apology from Finishing Line Press, and her first full length has come out this year. My Body Lives Like a Threat from Flower Song Press. So I'm sure she'll be sharing links, and I'll share them as well extensively after the reading and for the next day as well. So ladies and gentlemen, let's put your hands together. This is our first feature in a long time, so I hope you get your hands working. I know we do the wave a lot, but let's do the clap or virtual applause for Megha Sood. You're up, ma'am.
Hi, Chad. Thanks everyone for joining, and thanks Chad so much for giving me the space and the opportunity. It's an honor to be part of the Stone Soup, which has been running for so long. And thanks for the kind introduction also. Today I'm going to be reading few poems from my chapbook, which was published last year by Finishing Line Press. It was called "My Body is Not an Apology," and my full length, as you mentioned, is coming out this month by Flower Song Press. I'll be starting the reading with the poem, which is called "Peace: A Metaphor for Denial." And this poem is the national level winner of the Poetry Matters project, and it's also part of my full length. Peace: A Metaphor for Denial. Peace, an act of ignorance, an act of denial, is not a bliss, no more. When the silence is gutted like a fish and the blood of your own fills the street, how long can you be the puppet in your own peaceful country? The act of abandonment speaks a muted language for all the hearts trapped like sparrows on the other side of the town. The wall creates a boundary between me and humanity. They are still considered illegal when one foot in my land, another bloodied and stuck in the barbed wire that I put around God's own country. I was born with the privilege to call the piece of earth my own. No matter it is laced and seeped with someone else's blood, it belongs to me now. The young boy is shot. The pavement is colored by the shade of his blood, dark and useless to the people of this peaceful country. Those who pull out the armrest and the beach chairs to see the stars lit up the sky and the deafening noise, muting the wails of a widowed mother. They sip the beer as cold as their souls, leaving the scene with a shrug and a short sigh. Ignorance is bliss. Peace is a metaphor for denial in this country I call mine. The next poem is called My Body is Not an Apology, and it's the title poem from my chapbook. My body is not an apology. This body, my body, is not an apology. It's a prayer. Forgiveness wrapped in the filigrane's end of my skin, frayed at the ends, battered for so long by your pointy convictions and cookie cutter rules which try to shape and mold this body along. My body is not an apology. It doesn't desire to fit in a frame mapped inch by inch, else to be ashamed. My body is not an apology. It's a roar, a declaration, an unapologetic, unabashed, straight in your face truth, a war cry, a deafening scream from the silence. My body is not an apology. This body will not be mapped as a benchmark for beauty, an attempt to hide the crow's feet or the spider veins from your wild eyes and your forked tongue. My body is not an apology, but a safe haven, an epitome of affection, a metaphor for crimson love that flows in my veins for years to come. My body is not an apology, it's an eye of the storm, a dance of destruction, a safe haven for life, forgiveness in disguise. With love neatly folded in the wrinkles of my skin, warmth oozing from every pore of my being, a lesson etched in every single crow's feet, forgiveness written through every inch of my spider veins. This body is not an apology, but a profound lesson, a triumphant proclamation, an unfettered declaration. My next poem is called Ask a Child, Ask a Butterfly. It's a short poem and it's one of my personal favorites. Every small step counts, every small gesture matters. Kindness comes in all forms. Accept and embrace it when you see it. Pass it forward. It's like the flowing river shaping and changing the lives of those who come along its way. Keep flowing and keep growing. Life never stops from growing, nor from making mistakes. You stop and stagnate like the ditch of stinking water, flow like a waterfall, a beautiful sight in its glory. Life is movement. Change is a necessary transformation. Ask a child, ask a butterfly. The next poem is called A Nation in a Chokehold, and it's also part of my full length. The streets are overcrowded. Lanes are bustling with protest, thrumming with anger. Overcrowded bus stops, sidewalks, bike lanes, parks, brimming and spilling with pain, unfettered, uncontrolled. Everywhere there is quarantine, where the lanes should be deserted, where everyone should be 6 feet apart, masks covered mouths, but still breathing, with breaths laced with privilege. Here the nation recalls the pain, the unanswered angst of those calling from the grave, for those grieving souls who are yet to be put to rest. Those headstones, now a place marker for a black mother to sit and cry alone in the deep folds of the night. Here the nation mirrors the screams of the black blood lacing the sidewalks, mouth gaping at the nakedness of the whole nation, staring back at the end of a gun, a police gun. Here the nation acknowledges the police shooting went awry. Here the nation recalls how the protectors devour. Here the nation recalls how easy it is for you to forget a loss of life and wait for the next news cycle to begin. Here the nation recalls how eyes pop out, losing life in an instant, when your brain misses the next wave of life giving air coursing through your veins. Here the nation recalls how the brutal hands loaded with power, thick as greed, dripping with incessant hunger, took life boisterously. Here the nation recalls how life was ignored, leaving the warm and supple heart on the sidewalks pitted with fear and blood of the beautiful black bodies. Here the nation recalls how to survive by sucking in, gulping air, taking deep, long breaths feverishly, trying to survive after being in a chokehold for 8.5 minutes. Here the nation remembers Eric Garner, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd. Here the nation learns again how to breathe freely. My next poem is called Does Hurt Have a Gender? And it's basically a question which is put to the listeners. Does hurt have a gender? What does a body want when it breaks down into a million pieces? Its pulverized existence wanting acceptance, only to be ignored and walked over, left over like day old milk on the kitchen counter, forgotten and left to cuddle. Why do we keep numbing the sharp pain, the knotted lamentation caught in our hungry mouths, that cuts our soul both ways and leaves us to bleed in this world profused with sweat and blood, a moment indescribable, leaking and soaking the ridges of the curbside. Here, the thickness of your blood, its viscosity, and the gravitas of your speech depends on the color of your skin, a pain untenable, an insurmountable pain rising in my mouth, a dichotomy between pain and acceptance, a desire, abominable. Do screams have a religion too? Do cries have a race? Does hurt have a gender? Do wounds have a nationality? Does your tongue curl into sin when you call out my name? Does the triteness of your ideology still mollify your pain? The next poem I have written as a first generation immigrant and a person of color. Permanence. Nothing is permanent, says the leaves, interred in the drenched gardens of my puny home, embraced by the sustenance of moist earth, crumbled and soaked in the fragrance of the petrichor, of the passing thick cumulus straddling through the open skies. Love is transient. We all are travelers seeking a home in the midst of a storm. Stripped from the mighty boughs of oak, they have learned their lessons, lulling them to sleep in the heaving bosom of the ashen night. Acceptance is just a fallacy. a truth deeply etched in sullen memories of those who arrived before. We all fall, we all will fall, waiting for the moments to arrive. No one finds home ever, no matter how deep you root. The next poem is called Survival is an Art, and it was published in the New Jersey's Best Emerging Poets. Survival is an art. What do you do with the wound that is healed? Do you count along with the scars as the soul heals and repairs? Or you scrape it again, not to forget the lesson it reveals? What do you do when the broken heart heals? When it leaves the cracks like that broken vase on my mantelpiece with those dead lilies? What do you do with the letters written with apology and despair? Your despondent heart stops breathing or starts dreaming a new affair. What do you do when the autumn leaves, those dead rolling behind, strip from the mighty embrace of the old chestnut? Reminisce the days so sublime. Survival is an art. We all are a living testament to this truth. Life begins after severing the umbilical cord from its root. The next is called Hashtag Games, and it was published in the Headline Poetry Press. Hashtag Games. We play hashtag games every time the evil scratches its belly. Hunger plays on its forked tongue, mocking humanity. A tag for every survivor, a label for every day, smears the face with its ashen truth. Justice delayed is justice denied, they willfully say. A day to mourn the loss where some girl regrets life, her broken dreams broken and pulverized, dying a muted death. The day changes, atrocity switches masks, a new hashtag, and pain takes a new shape. A new march, a new route to follow, new placards to paint, new colors to wallow. We keep strangulating our moments, life being squeezed out of them. Black Mondays and dark Fridays, the debilitating pain till we find the new low and start all over again. We play hashtag games, victim change faces, a hamster on a wheel, but the perpetrator remains the same. The next poem is my title poem from my full length. It's called My Body Lives Like a Thread. A wound opens its mouth and becomes self inflicting, just like the night in its extreme. Vulnerable to a ray of light, its existence challenged, and yet it stands bravely, unfettered by the challenges of the dawn. As I catch the words in my mouth, my language becomes an open thread, my razor speech falling sharp on your dull convictions. We always exposed our deepest and softest parts to heal. That's how the body learns to heal, to grow. To be vulnerable is an elegy for acceptance. We have hunger written all over us, with the ink as black as mole on your shoulder, challenging the frothiness of the moonlight. My unspoken words sit like a welt on my tongue in this foreign world. Every time I twist my tongue to shape a word, I mispronounce your fear. A new threat is born. I want to finally close the reading with my poem called My Survival Story. It was a state level winner for the NAMI Dara Excel Award Poetry Contest in the year 2020. My survival story. The slow cleaving in my backbone, a seamless transformation, branching into my thousand selves like a sapling breaking from the blind seed. I'm sprouting, I'm thriving, growing like a Medusa, this fecundity of myself, breaking into thousand versions of me, morphing into shapes, perfecting the art of topiary, like a reflection of the summer sun, shining into a million versions of me, on shards of being broken mirror, blessing them with its apricity. I am the war cry, the mortal fear, residing behind enemy lines, the lava, the primordial gel, creating life so sublime. I'm the knowledge in the verse in the smattering cacophony of your mind. With ink breaths and walnut skin, boisterous, unfettered, and uncontrolled, walking barefoot on this graveled path, unspooling life fears in its intimate corridors. My pain impaled on the stars in the nightly sky, I shine through my pulverized skin. The broken pieces I foraged together to make a whole of me, an untrammeled beauty within. This fecundity is my survival instinct to handle the plethora of emotions life throws at me, undulating between the proximity and prosody of pain. I'm learning. Yes, I'm growing. Thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together 30, 40 times for Megha. Wow. That was such a short but sweet reading. I almost want to, I hate doing this because I know so many poets hate when people do this. Would you like to do an encore reading from, because Mark Lipman is here, reading one of your poems from the Reimagined America anthology, just as a nice little encore?
Oh, yeah.
That would be awesome.
Yeah, then.
My reasons are threefold. One, I basically like to promote the book because I'm in it. But two, I can't wait to. I'm not going to be able to read your works probably until next week with my luck. And three, we're going to be most importantly, we're going to be promoting the book's launch sometime, hopefully in the spring. So this will give everyone a nice little preview, and we'll put a little link in it later on. But let's hear you.
Hey, Chad, if I can just jump in there, thank you very much for promoting the anthology, and we can set up a reading anytime you want on that. And thank you so much for asking Megha to do an encore from the book, because that's fantastic. Your book should arrive tomorrow.
Oh, I'm sure. I might not get it. I might not be able to read until Friday. It depends on whether I am let out of my house, but we'll see what happens. But let's hear from Megha.
Thanks so much, Chad. And thanks, Mark, also for giving me the space in such a coveted anthology. There two of my poems are published in this anthology, and I'm going to be reading the poem called Bullhorn. Bullhorn. The streets were simmering with the pain, laced with the blood of the innocent, as another black body faces the threat of a loaded police gun. Death's gaping with wide mouth open. How frail is the thread of justice when the protector starts to devour, when the streets of your nation is brimming with the wails of the mother unknown. This was the sight seeded in every heart when the neck of George Floyd was choked for 8.5 minutes, begging for a shred of breath with every minute that was passed. With pandemic lurking in every nook and corner of my city, the feeling of helplessness, ashen thoughts were filling me. With protest simmering in every iota of my being, I took to my pen and started shaping the sadness in me. I scratched the skin of the paper to give a name to this burning feeling inside me, and drew posters for the march for my city, something which fills the eyes of my 10-year-old with immense pride and feeling of solidarity. The road to justice is paved with good intentions and filled with its shares of trials and tribulations. Evil has no name, and yet many. Let us scrape the brackish taste of this violence from the skin of our tongue, and the pain knotted in our spines for endless generations. Let us take our bullhorn and feverishly declare to this world that enough is enough, and piercing the ashen heart of the dark skies, a new day has boisterously begun. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Megha. And definitely send us your PayPal link or your Venmo link, whatever you use. And if anyone wants to donate a couple of bucks towards the reading, I pay for the Venmo. I pay for the Zoom service out of my own pocket, and I encourage everyone to donate. And a lot of people do, which makes me very happy and proud. So whatever you want to share, and if you want to share links to a place where we can order your full-length book, that would be great as well. We'll be looking forward to that, or to the link to the book from Finishing Line Press as well. So just keep us posted, and just post on the chats, and we'll save the chat. And with that, what other future projects do you have now? Aside from the new book, you must be looking. You seem to be the person who looks like 4 or 5 projects ahead. Something I can kind of relate to, because my projects take like 10 years to manifest anyway, but you're a lot quicker.
So yeah, right now I'm working on the last editing changes with my full length. It's almost done. It's gone to Ingram, and it's going to be out very soon. And I'm also being invited as an associate editor for the Brownstone Poets Anthology for this year by Patricia. So I'm very excited to work with Patricia and Carrie for the coming anthology. I'm going also, because as an editor for the Life and Legends, I'm going to be editing the next edition also. The last edition came out. And as the Life in Quarantine project by Stanford University has entered into the second phase, which is called Teaching in Quarantine, and which is basically crowdsourcing the pedagogical resources from all the teachers and educators all across the globe.
Wow.
Yeah, so
please share these links with us, because these are fantastic. And I see someone is raising their hand in the back saying, tell us about the Medusa Project.
Oh yeah. Oh, so yeah, that was a marvelous thing which happened very unexpected. So the Medusa Project was basically an anthology which I did with a UK-based press, which is Check, and it was my first anthology, my debut as an editor, and it's an e-anthology, and it's free to download from the website. And the anthology was basically there to celebrate the 100 years of the suffragist movement, the 19th Amendment of the US Constitution, which allowed the women to vote. We did a call out, and we received it was warmly received by the community, and we did almost 50 plus writers, women writers all across the globe. And this year, apparently, it was chosen as part of the Lunar Cortex project, which is one of the creative projects by NASA and SpaceX to send the work of creatives across the world in 3 digital payloads to the moon. So basically, it's going to be in 3 different phases till the Artemis mission, which is there to send the humans back to moon in 2024. So there are 3 different capsules, and Medusa was chosen to be in one of the digital capsule, which is the Polaris capsule, and it's going to be launched in the year 2023, and
wow.
to be sent as a digital payload. So over 6,000 creatives has been chosen across the world, and a work of 1 AI. And the project, the digital curator for the project is Dr. Samuel Peralta. He's a Canadian physicist, author, filmmaker, and he works in tandem with NASA and SpaceX, and he curates these people. So it wasn't an open call. It was something they chose. So that's how
invite. I get it.
Yeah, and it was really unexpected. And the important thing is, not only I edited the anthology, I was part of anthology, and also that I get to share the work of 49 other women creatives, and that gives me such a moment of honor to represent those women and send their creative works, which is an historical project. So that's how it was.
Wow. I am surprised. I am baffled that you have the time to find a spot here in Stone Soup to read. I'm so glad you made the time. And those who didn't know about you before are going to pay attention now. So thank you so much for sharing your work and sharing just a little bit of a sneak peek of what's happening in the next couple of years. And I kept on hearing little callbacks, not just for the Pandemic Poetry Project, but for the headline Poetry and Press. 2020 was pretty unprecedented for a lot of activist online magazines. So I'm so glad I met you through that craze, through through What Rough Beast, Headline Poetry Press, the anthology, the pandemic, Life During the Pandemic. I'm so glad you we're not only just a force contributing, but also a force behind a lot of this. So I appreciate all your work, as do us all, as do we all. So thank you so much for sharing your work, and I hope you do stick around for the open mic. And I hope, without consulting him first, I would like to ask Mark Lipman to read a little something. I think that'll segue and talk a little bit about the upcoming anthology a little bit more, and then we can go on to our usual cast of characters. Are you up, Mark?
Yeah, well, thank you very much. That's very kind of you to put me right at the front here. And honestly, I just came out to support Megha because this is actually the first virtual reading that I've actually heard you. And I'm so happy to have the Poet Laureate of the Moon in Reimagine America. I would actually like to read a piece from here, but not one of my own. I'm looking for, yes, here it is, page 77. This is a poem by our good friend and the late Blaine Hebel, who is in the anthology, who's a good friend of all of ours. And this is Blaine Hebel's poem from the anthology, Insidious Creep of Assassination by the 1%. When you think about it, it really is an eerily sinister plan, the insidious silent creep of assassination, like calculated release of some lethal microbe, spreading effortlessly, undetected until the 1% control the government, education, healthcare, energy, communications, home ownership, and even sports. Make them such debt-ridden propositions based on nothing but figures in the air, so only old boys' networks need apply, and honest day's work loses its meaning. They start at an early age to suck at our soul, even make birth a profit center, then turn us out into the world with huge debt instead of bright futures, when what I see is so plain to me. How can it not be to so many? How can they not see what's right before their eyes? We should live by the ancient principles of fairness for all and the willingness to help, that every person sprung from help, help those in need, take care of our planet. Instead, the economy's been hijacked by the 1%, speculating on derivatives of itself, then derivatives of derivatives, or other wild combinations of a made-up unreality, without care to what they're speculating on may bankrupt the world. It's all this disjointed because it's easier to mask their gross transgressions against sacred principles with the flash of desire they pretend attainable. Sporting events used to be just games we came home from with some magic story to tell instead of a vehicle for filling our heads with misguided envy for an unsustainable lifestyle empty from all that truly matters. Healthcare should be how can I help, not how can I profit from it. So when I get billed $405 for blood work, I can't take that seriously when it takes 20 minutes only because there's 15 minutes of paperwork. Communication should inform or expose us to culture, not be used to twist the truth and support your silent agenda. So I will rail against your hijack at every chance I get. Now emboldened, so blatant in their manipulation, gasoline prices and stock market jagged ride of an unnatural rhythm of a planet dangerously close to exploding pressures flame out. A black hole's insistent tug beckons in eerie seduction, the blackness, the thick fluid cushion of nothing, better than all this stuff I can't change, no matter how hard I try. But the next apocalypse already scheduled, so I'll wait to first give the world another chance to end. You can't reason with them. You can't appeal to any absent sense of decency. They aren't embarrassed in the least by any of it. There won't be any spark of coming to their senses. They won't admit that they're wrong. they will just go on with business as usual. All I can do is call public attention to the 1% shameful path with a furious voice every chance I get. The swelling thrust that becomes the tipping point always comes from youth's frantic, innocent rage. From the ground up, small tribes of like minded find pockets of sanity to winter over, readying an attack with fierce passion. And it's the voice of the poets. It's always the voice of the poets sounding the clarion call to battle, just as I stand before you now, urging you to occupy everything. Blaine Hebel, presente. Thank you, Chad.
Thank you for sharing an old friend of Stone Soup, someone who I hadn't seen for a while, especially since Stone Soup moved out of its more convenient home of Cambridge back into the Seaport district of Boston, which is, my girlfriend and I jokingly call it like the new Manhattan. Everything from the billboards just makes it look like they're trying to make it the most gentrified place on the East Coast. But I knew that Blaine was working, and I was excited to see his name on here, and I'm glad he survives. His work survives in a collection like this. Even today, I just wonder, what would Blaine Hebel have to say on NFTs? What would Blaine Hebel say? But goofy stuff like that.
Yeah, Blaine and I were both part of the Occupy movement a decade ago, and that's where we made our real connection. He was I didn't know him when I was living on the East Coast, but we became fast friends and like brothers across the country. So I'm very honored to have him in here, and he just left us way too soon. So thanks for the opportunity to present his voice here.
Thank you, Mark, and hope you stay for a few more of our voices. Yes, Megha, that's the Occupy Wall Street movement, which had its own individual movements around the country, and most notably the Occupy Boston movement here in my city, where there was a group of a very loosely unaffiliated group of Occupoets, and chances are, if it wasn't for Blaine carrying the torch for a lot of us, even long after the Wall Street protests were done, the Occupoets would probably not be remembered right now, like that idea as a concept. So we do owe him a lot. Excuse me. I'm going to move it over to the next person on the open mic, and hopefully he'll unmute himself and get to work. Mr. Ed Galt.
Hello. Okay, this one. Let me see. Okay, now I'm out of portrait mode. Okay. Now, this one is called Sanctuary. Oh. Okay. Now, this one is called Sanctuary. I paid the man for the coffee and the paper, and was lucky enough to find one of the large soft chairs, almost right away. Usually you have to wait at a table until the person in it leaves. This could be a while if that person is talking on their cell phone or if they went to sleep. But this was a cafe, and that wasn't unlikely. Somebody would wake you up and offer you more coffee. But I simply read the paper. There were the usual school shootings, Middle East wars, global warming had replaced starving children in the news. Finally, the comics. It helped me get my mind off the cramped apartment and the guests staying for the holidays. My relatives would all tell me that war couldn't be prevented. Climate change occurred ever so often, according to the laws of nature. Children couldn't all be fed, according to the laws of economics. School shootings would continue. We couldn't have a perfect world. but our unit would be squeaky clean. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
That
Galt. And let's see, is Jan Rowe available to read tonight, Mr. Van Looy? There she is, always off camera, but never too far away.
Can you move up a little bit because I need some light, honey? Teacher made me think about this piece that I did for the Black Seed Writers. That's every Tuesday at 9:30 at Sproat Hall at Cathedral St. Paul, Park Street. And it's called, so that last piece you read, it reminded me of this, what I wrote, called Elijah McClain. Elijah justice, finally, for his family, but Elijah McClain is still dead. Elijah McClain's mom initially was told by Colorado authorities that Elijah McClain's murder was, or death, was justified, that no evidence existed. After all, he had gone to buy iced tea. Well, upon another look-see, enough video exists. It existed to convict the 3 Aurora, Colorado cops of murder, along with the 2 EMTs who gave him a too large dose of ketamine, and he had cardiac arrest on the way to the hospital and died a few days later. So they'll never ever work again, maybe, well, except maybe in Texas or Florida, the cops and the EMTs. So this 23-year-old pacifist violinist, his murder, Elijah McClain's murder, was going by silently until George Floyd's death was filmed on a phone by a teenager who was threatened by the cops to stop filming. Note, people are allowed to film if they're not interfering. She was threatened to stop filming, and then she had sleepless nights. This poor teenager was tormented with grief that she could film it, but she could not stop his murder. However, Elijah McClain's mom, she maintains that Elijah's death would have been completely ignored had it not for this poor guilt-stricken teenager filming George Floyd's death. Thank you.
Thank you, Jan. And now let's bring us now to Miss Mary Jennings, who's actually going to be a feature for us at the end of the month, and you can get a preview of her work right now. So Mary, you are up.
Thank you, Chad. Okay, I'm just going to read a series of cinquains. Dissect your platitudes. Hidden story is there. Element of surprise awaits. Revised. Bridges I seek in names, events, ideas, lives. Synchronicity. Let's cross it. Connect. Passion remains after ego trip is detained. Undone pose reveals true heart. Purpose. I too pray to the art of being. Time to get purged and blessed. It's what I live for. Graces. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. And information on her reading will be coming up hopefully by tomorrow. For now, let us move on to okay, Mr. Chris Fitzgerald. Let's have you come up now.
So you can hear me.
Yes, sir.
This is called Be Yourself. And it starts out with the most creative being from this area of the world. His name was Ralph Waldo Emerson. Be yourself in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. Young couple just starting out want to see what some of the world's countries and cultures have to bring to their new relationship. First day, Monday, taking it slow, French kissing and international coffees. It was a lovely, beautiful day. The only real surprise, she started out the day a Costa Rican light roast coffee drinker, he Sumatran dark roast, but because of the massive exchange of saliva, at the end of the day, she was Sumatran dark roast, he Costa Rican light roast. Go figure. Tuesday, things starting to rev up in celebration of the Berlin Wall fall, and one of the dynamics that helped create the Latvian breast fondle. John and Mary, our couple's names, very impressed with the Latin breast fondle. It didn't start out as a distraction to the change in political climate, but as a salute to the hand, as a valued member of the sense of touch. That it wasn't just genitals that were rich in touchability, slow dancing, hand cup, babe's bottom, they were one, bottom cup, bottom cup, bottom cup. John, very impressed with Mary's bottom feel. Mary, very impressed with John's hand joy. Before totally surrendering to the charms of the Latvian breast fondle, they would Latin hustle. Da, 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 da. Do the hustle. Grand time Tuesday. Wednesday, other side of the world, Australia. And you've probably guessed, Australian thigh touching. Started in the outback, moved quickly to the in front, never seemed to catch on with the sideways. Outback, in front, no sideways. Go friggin' figure. Mary got such a kick out of Australian thigh touching, she threw in, for John's benefit, some Thracian toe tapping. That always lit John up. They had a marvelous day. Thursday, for 300 years, from 150 BC to 150 AD, on the little Bakota island of Iceland, when the polar bear hides fell off, when the walrus skin slipped off, couples, to stay wonderfully warm, would engage in the Icelandic asshole. Husband, wives, boyfriends, girlfriends, couples of all sorts, shacking up for the night, shacking up for the weekend, shacking up until they were tired of saying, shacking up. Icelandic assholes. John loved it. Mary loved it. Enough said. When Friday came around, Mary and John both considered outside stimulation unnecessary, as they now could direct themselves to the future's moments. Both became wonderfully aware of the magnificent space they shared, when touching or not touching. The next 3 days, the completion of their first week, the only outside bubble to make an appearance was a beautiful riff both enjoyed doing on a great Sam Cooke song. I remember John's piece. Don't know much about geography. 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 What I do know is I love you. And I know if you love me too, what a wonderful world it would be. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat geography. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat geography. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat geography. Rat-a-tat-tat-tat-tat geography. Thank you.
Thank you, Chris.
I know it's a bit different.
Not a problem. We're glad you did it. Who we gotta go to next, according to my list? Let's bring us down to Patricia Kerrigan. Are you up? Are you ready? Up for it? Oops, sorry, I might have muted you by accident.
Okay, ready. The way you look tonight. The price tag dangled from Rachel's Sex and the City dress, a bargain back when age was light years away. She bought it for a party which came 15 years later. From a mother, a legacy of bad genes. 2 months at the gym, drinking smoothies, munching salads, skipping cream and sugar in her coffee. She still couldn't zip up her dress. Her hips too damn wide, her waist too damn thick, her breast runneth over into a size C. Rachel relied on camouflage, a black A-line sweater over leggings, a long silver scarf to divert from uptown curves, pumps to elongate her legs. Latent life blemishes ruined her effect. Her concealer broke during application. At the party, the computer played Frank Sinatra. On her smartphone, apologetic texts from Leo. His 10-minute arrival became an hour later. He blamed his tardiness on the MTA. Rachel looked different in person. Unlike Mr. Sinatra's song, her smile lacked warmth. Her cheeks weren't that soft. Wrinkles around her eyes, even after his jokes. He was just as guilty whenever he'd laugh. His beer belly shook like Jabba the Hutt. His hairline receded too far, aged him more than Rachel. Deception canceled out their so-called date. Rachel preferred solace with a glass of Chardonnay, watched a millennial in her size 2 dress tickle the tummy of a man old enough to be a father. Thank you.
Thank you, Patricia. And now I'm going to bring up one of our telephone poets, or someone joining us by telephone rather than computer. There are a couple of them tonight. Our 2 stalwarts. I'm going to ask the first one to unmute herself by pressing *6, and then she can read. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome Nancy Dodson.
$10,000 heavy bowling pins. When the pins are on fire, one ball rolls and mows them down. Heavy pins on their side. In my dream, I see 10,000 pins. Concentrate until the bowling pins lie down, down, down.
Thank you so much, Nancy. And now I'm going to ask someone else, one of our Shire members, to unmute himself and see if he just came in a short while ago, but he's usually raring to go.
How did you know? Oh my good, I'm so excited. Thank you.
How'd you know I was talking about you?
Yeah, of course, it's somebody else. Excuse me.
I'm joking. Go on. Oh God. Okay, clearly I hurt his feelings. Okay, Bill, I was talking about you the whole time. It's obvious, really.
Guess what I'm doing the weekend after next? So this is the MIT junior high school weekend. So I will have my high schoolers in there, our kids will be Zooming. Who cares? It'll be kids. We're going to have fun. We're going to talk about science and history and cool stuff. But now to this more mundane, or not mundane, just more, yeah, I'll let that go. It is some wonderful day. There are so many wonderful things happening. I am so impressed and proud that Mayor Wu has really put her efforts out there and said, no, mass and cast and all that stuff that has happened there is wrong. And she has asserted herself, and God bless her and everyone who works the hard work that is out there. And so I'm just ecstatic. So I want to say something happened. So here is a happy one, just because will you walk a little faster, said the whiting to snail. There's a lobster close behind us and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the turtles and the lobsters all advance. They are waiting for the single. Won't you come and join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance? Too far, see how eagerly the turtles and the lobsters all advance. They're waiting for a single. Won't you come and join the dance? His scaly friend replied, too far, I've totally forgotten the poem. Oh no, it's too far, I must say, and I'm totally spaced out. Too far, he said, and gave his friend a glance. Said he thanked the whiting, but he would not join the dance. Would not join the dance. would not, could not join the dance. How matters it how far we go, his scaly friend replies. There is another shore, you know, upon the other side. The nearer is to England, the further is to France. So be not pale, beloved snail, but come and join the dance. Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance? Thank you, Alice in Wonderland.
Thank you, Bill. Let's let's move to let's go to our final phone contributor, person joining us by telephone alone. And I have to help her out through our special system and unmute her. She's been joining us since the very first Stone Soup Zoom call back in 2020. Good God. Whoops. There we go. Whoops, looks like you might not be muted. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. There we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome up, Carol Weston.
Hi. Well, anyway, I'm going to share the poems that I'm going to submit to Poetry Magazine, and I'll tell you in 6 months what happens. Number 1. All day long I breathe my perpetual song until I shape my lips and blow my invisible symphonic whistle. Number 2. We carry our deaths under the great turtle shell of our being as we crawl toward infinity. Number 3, down the hospital hall, I can hear the operatic misery of a fellow patient. Thank you.
Chad, you're muted.
Sorry, my mouse isn't working. Thank you, Carol, and good luck with your submission process.
Thank you.
Last I sent something there, they told me to wait 8 months. I'm sure they'll expedite yours because of who you are. Actually, I just got an email. They said wait another 9 months. Okay. Anyway, let us welcome up. This is an accomplishment. On the 12th of January, I actually made Carol Weston guffaw. That was amazing. That was an accomplishment. That was amazing. Let's see who we have next. Oh, yes, we have Denise Garcia Benders, who is joining us, I think, for the first time on Zoom. She was with us a couple of times in the old location at the Out of the Blue on right on Mass Ave in Central Square, and probably at the Prospect location too. But I only have pictures from Mass Ave. But anyway, it's so glad to have her unmute herself and share her work for the first time here, along with our fellow Zoomers. We're all the Zoomer generations. We're all Gen Z Zoomers.
Are you ready? Okay. Mama, why'd you kill me? Mama, why'd you kill me? You tell others that I drowned. I didn't drown. You put me to sleep. Mama, why'd you kill me? Why you put fake smile and fake act in the court, stone picture, when you don't even want me? Mama, why'd you kill me? You got away from me just like you wanted. Are you happy, Mama? Mama, why'd you kill me? You fooled the judge and the jury and the people who believe in you. Can you sleep now? Mama, why'd you kill me? Now that you're set free, dancing and laughing, when I'm in heaven, watching every move you make. Mama, are you happy now? You mean?
Thank you so much, Denise. I appreciate it.
That's
I appreciate. I'm so glad after so many hit and misses, we were able to get you back on.
I know.
Welcome back to the
I do the
soup.
next- Okay, so do I do the next one later, right? After you guys?
We're not doing 2 rounds. So if you want to do your second one, you can do it right now if you want.
Oh, is it okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Drug kill lost soul. Some people think the only way to escape from a pain, realistically, not. Drug kill lost soul. Some people just can't handle their fear well, but the devil give them a factor too. Drug kill lost soul. You lose everything, your children, your family, even your freedom. You've been trapped, never let you go. Drug kill lost soul. Some people will lie to you in order to get what they want from you. It worked, but you can't see that. Drug kill lost soul. Only because you think you are weak. Lift up, come again. See what's really going on while you're sleeping. Drug kill lost soul. They're not trying to hide, they're to creep it into your soul. Fight them off. Be strong again. Drug kill lost soul. And I said this now. No. As I say this now, I'm free from the sickness I was weak, but now I'm strong.
Thank you, Denise. Hope you come back next week now that we figured out what the issues were. So thank you again for coming back, and you might see Denise's work upcoming in Oddball sooner rather than later this year. We're definitely featuring a lot of new voices, and Denise just might be one of them. So stay tuned and keep on looking and visiting Oddball Magazine at oddballmagazine.com. And
Chad, you're muted again.
son of a bitch. Okay. I have the opposite problem of Mr. Burns. Oh, more people for my cauldron. Sir, the intercom's button's still on. Oh, son of a bitch. Anyway, okay. So coming up next on the open mic, just by coincidence, I have CC Ashagra close up to Mr. Ethan Mackler. So I don't know if you guys want to do a jam, or are we just happy that you have a mic now, CC, and you just want to do something by yourself?
Yeah, it's up to Ethan if you want to pull it off. I have new work. Let me get out of full screen here so I could see my desktop and read this thing, and it doesn't want to leave. Oh Jesus, this is weird. I hardly ever.
I got you guys both lined up and paired again, so.
Okay. All right.
Wait, I want to see us lined up. Oh, I'm not getting the lined up.
It's definitely on my recording. That's all you need to worry about.
I'm
all right. Do we look really hip?
Yes.
All right. That's good. All right. Yeah, I'll do it. I'm with you, CC, if you want.
All right. I just have no access to my desktop all of a sudden. Give me a sec.
Oh, jeez.
I know this is weird. I've never seen this happen to my screen before, ever.
I think you said the same thing about your sound system a month ago.
Yeah, no, I fixed. I fixed, and then it came in and out. Wait.
Whoop! You lost your video.
Yes, I know. Start my video.
There you go.
Okay, there you go. I got the video. I got the audio, and now I just need my desktop. No, this is so silly. This is so silly. No.
This is how the movie magic is done, people.
I have this has never happened. Exit. Okay, I got it. I'm good. I'm ready. Okay, a brand new project, brand new poetry book concept titled "Do You Know Who Your Reality Slavers Are?" This is the first piece in that working manuscript. Go ahead, hit a note. There you go. Trauma is a living lie made all too real. And we are all children born into the same age of surviving time and every fictional space. The mind, at its first physical breath, refills our unconditional love. It is not afraid to die, aware of our soul-formed being, not yet a solidified, frightened, processing brain. The innocence is still forming, while our tears wash us back to bliss, as our newly formed hunger is birthing our innocence and our genuine laughter that arrived before air made our lungs feel. Reality slavers become our environment. Reality slavers become our environment. The parentage of soul matter lives here, and fear forgets to love itself, as inhumanity puts on a human mask and kills to feed fear, as if survival is greater than love. Still, before, now, and after, no victory or loss, love is. We are never really born here. Ethan, you the man. That nailed it.
Thank you guys for that little duet. It's much appreciated. And now I think, yes, I think we are left with our pinnacle closer. This person's also a regular contributor to Oddball Magazine. You can check out his work every week, every Thursday morning, including this Thursday morning. It's all one thing. Is
Chad. Oh,
what? What
was I-
happened?
was I gonna get a spot of my own?
Okay. If you want to do an encore, sure. I didn't. I couldn't tell, but yeah. All right. Let's have Ethan Mackler while I rewind all that stuff I said about James Van Loy, and let's bring up the Pulse of Stone Soup to do a little solo session, ladies and gentlemen. Ethan Mackler. Not as cool as Cece and Ethan, but cool enough.
Oh, I thought that was CC's, and then this would be mine.
No worries.
Back to you, Chad.
Thank you, Ethan. And you can see,
Bravo.
see, this is I have everything on speaker view to give people a highlight. So now the next time I have to remember to make sure to pin Bill's screen on because apparently he did an amazing dance number that I missed. I regret that. Maybe we will reenact it next week. But everyone was with disco lights too. We're gonna have to. We'll have to recreate that next week if we can. We probably can't. Anyway, that's just the way art is. Thank you guys very much. And we're gonna close out. I think this time for real with the man who contributes. It's All One Thing, a weekly poem column to oddballmagazine.com. Should air as normal tomorrow, Thursday morning at 11 o'clock. And hopefully we're going to be seeing a lot more of his work in 2022. It looks like before we go, looks like Mr. Lippman has two announcements he'd want to make.
Hi, thanks, Chad. I just wanted to let everyone know that on February 26th, we're hosting in Culver City on the LA side, we're hosting a book festival, and it's going to have an interactive part to that. So if anyone wants to be part of an interactive reading, it's going to be a national, international reading as part of this. I'll post the flyer here so that you can see what's going on. And also, I wanted to let poets who are more social justice inclined know about something else as well. I just put that flyer in the chat. It's loading up now. I'm over the last 10 years through the Press Vagabond, I've been building a national and international network of social justice poets. And right now at this time, we're starting to connect that poet and artist network with, poets, artists, musicians, all creatively inclined people who want to use their voice for social justice. We're connecting our poet networks with our activist networks. I'm very connected with the national organization called People's Action, who've been at the forefront of left policy for the last 50 years here in the US. And they represent groups throughout the US, thousands of activists, grassroots activists. So we're starting to connect those networks together. So if you are interested in being part of a national poet artist movement to have a greater say with your creative arts in shaping national policy, please get in touch with me through the normal channels. I think we all more or less know each other. Just get in touch with me and I'll connect you in with those networks as that builds out.
I just saved your flyer and I'll post it tomorrow sometime in the afternoon, hopefully. And hopefully people will be able to contact you from there, and I'll tag you and I'll send the information to other people as well.
Oh yes, thanks, Chad. I see that. I sent that just to you and not the entire group. Yeah, so if you could resend that, and I'm going to put
Absolutely.
my email address for everyone. So if they want to contact me directly, they've got my address here.
Sounds good.
Thanks, Chad.
Thank you, and thank you, Mark. A lot of the connections made here, over the last year or so are largely because of people like you and Megha. So we do appreciate giving you the outlet to make your announcements and to bring more people together. So I'm very excited about what the new year is going to bring as far as new works and new collaborations. But thank you for that. And we will move it now to Mr. James Van Looy, our penultimate closer. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. And thank you, Mark, for that too. That was good.
Okay. So I have a piece here called Wisdom in Washington, D.C. Wisdom in Washington, D.C. On the eve of the 20th anniversary of the opening of the forever war Guantanamo detention site, I see on Yahoo Scroll The latest polar vortex breakdown sent a huge snowstorm into the US South and apparently carried a snowy Arctic owl all the way down to Washington, D.C., where it is seen flying around downtown, perching, I then imagine, on various Federalist-style buildings. This perfect white flecked vision of ancient female personification of wisdom from both myth and Bible looks out over the imperial center of our current age empire of bases that has become the horizon line of legal black hole that ensued when the Geneva Conventions were declared obsolete and lawyers wrote Office of Legal Counsel memos to make torture, murder, assassination, and mass surveillance legal. The Patriot Act apparently being insufficient to fulfill right-wing wingnut wish list to take away all human rights. And yet an owl with white-tipped winter feathers with those great, huge, see-through the vertex distance eyes looks through 2 decades of endless cover-ups in plain sight that have left us, the US, trapped for about 2 years in endless pandemic, a business community disinformation campaign that runs US government policy from its think tanks and propaganda machine of lies. This machine of cancer cigarettes, asbestos mesothelioma, lead in the kids' water, pollution in the pill mills, global overwhelming with global economy of reserve currency funding war machine of global ecological collapse. The big burp could be the last gasp of yes, ancient wisdom. White tip feathers apiece. Oh, ancient long distance owl of the Arctic ice disappearing. Oh, ancient symbol of wisdom. Open us to your presence and meaning. O holy female personification of wisdom, Arctic owl voyager of the polar vortex breakdown. And let me sing a quick song. The empire's over. It's time to call it a day. They've burst your pretty balloon and stolen the moon away. It's time to give up that masquerade. Just make your mind up. The piper must be paid. The empire's over. Its candles flicker and dimmed. You danced and you dreamed through the night. It seemed to be right, just being with them. Now you must wake up. All dreams must end. Take off your makeup. The empire's over. It's so over, my friend. Now you must wake up. All dreams must end. Take off your makeup. The empire's over. It's all over, my friend. Empire's over. It's so over, my friends. Thank you.
Thank you very much, James Van Looy. And before we go, take.
I like the Righteous Brothers.
Oh, geez. Thank you, Chris. Be sure to survey the links that have been shared with us, in particular, all the way up. And if you can't share now, I will look over I will send over the links to Megha's 2 books. My Body Lives Like a Threat is going to be available later this month. And then there's a chapbook from Finishing Line Press, My Body Is Not an Apology. And if she sends me a PayPal or a Venmo later on through the mail, we'll definitely contribute something through there as well. But at the very least, try and grab a book, support the poet, support each other, crazy times ahead. We appreciate everyone coming in here, all the new faces, all the regulars, and all the people who came out to support our feature. And hopefully we'll have more announcements coming up by tomorrow. I think that's about it. We already mentioned that Mary Jennings is featuring at the end of the month. And I hope in the next couple of weeks, we're going to have more new voices, more new people, more new poets. And if you can think of anyone who would love a venue as erratic and chaotic as this one, please share. And hopefully there'll be more projects going on, whether related to Oddball or otherwise. And just keep on looking at stonesoupoetry.blogspot.com. Look at me at Chad Parento Poet for Hire.com. You can look at me, look at my blog, look at my Twitter, or best of all, look at the Stone Soup Facebook group. Facebook and Twitter suck, but it's what we got. So we're doing the best we can with it. And stay tuned for more announcements, in particular for the Reimagine America reading from Vagabond Books, and hopefully more and more new people coming in, and hopefully some old favorites as we near year 51 of Stone Soup. I never thought I would have that be a sentence, but stay tuned for announcements in May. And it's now time to do the obligatory wave. Thanks to Megha so for not only having a great feature, but also staying for the rest of the night. And we're going to do a wave and stop. It's better to do this than it's better to hold the hand up than just like try and catch still shot of vibrating hand. It's goofy. But anyway, thank you guys so much. We'll see you next week. I'll be a little less sniffly, and more announcements will be made. So thank you all. Thanks to Megha, and stay tuned for the video tomorrow to share from YouTube. Share the live feed from Facebook, from Stone Soup Poetry's Facebook page. And I think that's it. The show's over. See you next time.
Feel better.
I will.
Thank you, Megha.
Feel better, Chad.
I will. No problem. No worries here.
Thank you. Feel better.
Have a good night, people.
Take care.
Good night, Megha. Well, you're great. Fantastic.
Epigenetics. Think positive.
Yes.
I
we
shall.
have to.
It can't hurt. Get the mind involved.
Yeah.